I'm your host, Jay, and welcome to another episode of the Hype Club podcast. Hello, everyone. Hope everyone is blessed and doing great. Today, we have another amazing interview with a very talented, beautiful, and intelligent TV personality. But first, to keep up with the Hype Club podcast, make sure to follow us on all our social media platforms Instagram and Facebook at the Hype Club Podcast, and Twitter at The Hype Club Pod, or simply go to thehypeclubpodcast.com. Subscribe, rate, and review us on Apple Podcasts. Now get yourself some rosé, sit back, and enjoy. Let's go! On today's show, we have another special guest who wears many hats. She's an Australian celebrity stylist, fashion editor, TV presenter, a civil engineer, a serial entrepreneur, and now a reality star on Dream Life Los Angeles. And let's not forget how beautiful she is. Please welcome Amber Renae. How are you, Amber?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm excited to connect with your audience.
I'm happy to have you on. Let's start by telling us a little bit about yourself, your background, where you come from.
So obviously I'm an Aussie, in case you guys can't tell by the accent. I started building roads and bridges as a construction engineer. Quit that job and started my first business, which was a fashion design label. I started that label with me on a sewing machine. The first week we made 4 shirts. The next week we made 8 shirts. And then 5 years later, I had 120 accounts around the world. We exported to Paris, Tokyo, LA, and South Africa. I did runway shows all over the globe, and we dressed some of the biggest celebrities at the time, which back in the day was Paris Hilton. So this was before social media. It was before even the internet, really. So it was a big deal to be dressing someone like that and doing influencer marketing before influencer marketing was even a thing. So that first business was amazing until it wasn't. My manufacturer went out of business, which forced me to go out of business. I had to declare bankruptcy and found out I'd basically worked myself to death. So I had cancer, I had stomach ulcers, and I was on all sorts of anti-anxiety and antidepressant tablets. And I swore after that time that I would never, ever, ever run another business again. And that lasted about a year. So then I started my second business, which was a fashion styling business. So that's like one-on-one consulting. That business started with me with no contacts, no network, no clue. I just woke up one day, changed my email signature from designer to stylist, and figured the rest out from there. And then 3 years later, I had two of the biggest contracts in the country. So I was the fashion editor for Women's Health and Fitness magazine and the resident stylist for Southern Cross Stereo, which at the time was our biggest radio and TV network. And I just come off of Project Runway. Are you a Project Runway fan?
I used to be, but a long time no, I stopped. I stopped watching.
Yeah, so I was on Project Runway Australia as a designer. So coming off that, I started a TV career. So I ended up being the fashion presenter, the Australian presenter for fashion TV. So I was living my best fashion life, like I was a celebrity stylist. I was dressing all the celebs. I was shooting for magazine covers. I was interviewing celebrities for fashion TV. And I literally thought my life couldn't get any better. And then the global financial crisis, the effects of that finally hit Australia. And all monies for things like fashion styling and TV presenting dried up. And I was left unemployed and unemployable. So I know a lot of people right now are finding themselves in a similar position, like an external event has come in and they're probably, looking at job loss, or they're looking at, what's their next move because they've been forced out of their current move. And I just want to let you know, this was now the second time that something like that has happened to me. And this time around, it forced me into, when I say forced, I say the universe lovingly forced me into this business, which is a far better expression of my values, my purpose in life, and my really what lights me up every day. So these days I run an online education platform. I educate hundreds of thousands of women all over the globe and empower them to create their dream life. So that's through my online training programs that teach you mindset, personal branding, influencer marketing, and how to run an online business, so e-courses and funnels. So I share this message in case there is anyone out there that's, wondering what the next step is for them and wondering why this is happening to them right now. And I just want to let you know that the universe really pushed me in the right direction all 3 times, each time that my business ended. And I would never have chosen this. I would never have sat around and thought, oh, I just want to be an online, marketer. I just want to sell e-courses. I never dreamed of doing that, but it is truly my, I feel like I'm most aligned, more aligned than I've ever been in any of my previous businesses.
What led you to civil engineer to
Yeah, so my
celebrity
dad,
stylists or online businesses? It's like so far apart.
it's so random. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to tell you the practical side, but then I'm going to tell you the side that I think people want to know, because I know a lot of people really struggle with finding their purpose, and they think they're going to wake up one day and there's going to be a big shining light going, this is your purpose. But let me get to that in a second. So practically, I was really good at maths, extremely good at maths, and, used to go to maths camps and stuff my whole life. Whilst everyone else was out partying, I was going to math camps. I'm that kind of cool person. But my dad is an engineer. My older brother is an engineer, and it was just a natural progression for me to go and study engineering. It was easy. So, and so then the way that all of my businesses have started is that I just couldn't do what I was doing anymore. So engineering was something that I hated. Well, not hated, I loved it, but I could tell it wasn't my passion, right? It wasn't what I'd always dreamed of doing. It was just a job. It paid the bills, paid really well. I didn't mind it when I was there, but it wasn't, I wasn't mad about it. What I was mad about it during that time was creating clothes. So I would get home from my day job, I would make dresses. I would wake up on the weekend, I would make clothes for myself. And that's how my fashion label started. It wasn't some big dream of like, I'm going to run an international, label that celebrities going to wear. No, I just really had a huge passion for making clothes for myself. And then I used to make them for friends. And then I decided, well, I'll make a few extras and see if the local shop wants to buy them. And that's how my first business started. It was something that I did for free because I loved it, because I was passionate about it. And that's how all of my businesses have started. So this business, again, I didn't wake up and go, well, I'm going to run a digital marketing company and I'm going to teach thousands of women all over the globe. No, I didn't have that aspiration. I just knew that I was really good at teaching. I was teaching at all the fashion styling colleges at the time. So I was writing the curriculum of how to be a fashion stylist.
Mm-hmm.
I knew that I was really good at becoming a fashion stylist. I'd achieve things that most people wouldn't achieve in 20 years. I'd achieved in 3 or 4 years. And I was really generous with that information. I thought, well, I don't want to do it anymore. I have no desire to be in that industry. Why don't I help people with the information that I've gained throughout my career? And so that's how this business started. It wasn't some shining moment where I woke up and was like, aha, that's my purpose. It was more just like, you've got the information, you're really good at it. And I was happy to give it away. So the course, my very first course that I created was how to become a fashion stylist. It's a business course teaching the business side of fashion styling. That course, when I first created it, I was selling it for like $19 because I didn't want it for, I wasn't doing it for the money. I was just doing it because I had nothing else to do. I was trying to find a real job, I was trying to get a job, and this was just something I was doing on the side for fun.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result, that's now turned into this mega organization. So that's sort of what I want to inspire people to think of when they're thinking about what their purpose is what are you passionate about? What do you want to learn about? What do you read blogs about? What YouTube videos do you watch? Follow that itch, scratch that itch, follow that inspiration, because that is what will lead you to your purpose.
Amazing. And that fashion label that you started, it was in 2002, right?
Yeah, it was in 2002. That's right.
Okay. Like you mentioned before, you started in Project Runway Australia, which led you to become a fashion editor for Women's Health and Fitness magazine and a presenter on Australia Fashion TV, where you interviewed A-list celebrities like Ruby Rose, Mel B. How was Mel B? Was she like tough to work with?
She's fun. I mean, she loved getting interviewed, right? So she was happy to work with me. I don't know what she's like when she's your, when she's your employee, obviously, but we were giving her free press. So she was great. She was super good fun.
Amazing. And second, Ruby Rose. Is she hot in person as we see her on TV?
She's insanely hot. So there's a few of my videos with Ruby. I used to style her, so I knew her quite well back in the day when she was in Australia. So and and there's a few videos of me on my YouTube channel where I'm interviewing her, and you can visibly see me hitting on her in every interview because she's just so hot. And like I'm like doing all these cheesy flirting, and then at the end of the interview I'm like, what are you doing, Amber? Like seriously. But I'm sure she's used to, you know, being hit on
Yeah.
in
Which celebrity you met or interviewed that was a total snub or nightmare?
so that there is, I'm not going to name names, but there was
What?
one.
I
No,
want
I
to know.
can't, but she's an Aussie actress who's now made it big in Hollywood. She does
Okay.
a lot of this sort of like crime TV series.
Okay.
And I was a huge fangirl. So I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get to interview this person. I love her so much. And I was sort of gushing and fangirling over her during the interview. And she was like deadpan, giving me like death stare and doing the
Wow.
one word answers. And I'm like, oh, come on, man. I'm such a fan. Like, give me something to work with here.
And how did you feel? Like, how did you feel back then
Well, it
when,
was one of those moments where you're like, don't meet your heroes, right?
yeah.
Because if they disappoint.
Exactly. Right now, you are one of the stars of the newest reality TV show, Dream Life Los Angeles, airing Sundays at 10 a.m. on Hulu Live and FYI Network. It's a reality show that documents your business partner, Serena DC, and yourself launching the world's first online learning academy dedicated to love, sex, and relationships. What's the Love Academy?
So Love Academy is my latest e-learning venture. As you know, I'm an e-learning expert. And so I partners with Serena to create to bring her knowledge to life. So she's a matchmaker. She's written books on dating. She's got, you know, gives a lot of advice around that kind of industry. So we've partnered together and we're bringing in a number of thought leaders and world experts to come and share knowledge and information around sex, modern, you know, dating in the modern, dating in 2020, love, relationships, navigating relationships. So it's all about finding love, giving love, and receiving love, which I just think the world needs right now.
Yes, deeply, deeply.
Yes.
Whose idea it was to make it a reality show of that, the Love
Yes.
Academy?
The whole show is Serena's idea. So she did a reality show in Australia. She got really badly trolled as a result of being on that show. And she thought, well, I'm just going to make my own feel good reality show. And I'm going to show the world that reality doesn't have to be bitchy and negative. And, you know, it can be a show that's uplifting and inspiring and positive. And that's really what we've created with Dream Life. It's a very, you know, there's drama and there's tension, but it is, you know, we all seek to be our best selves. There's a number of cast members that are all doing what they do in the real world, like me. You know, like in the real world, I'm creating online learning academies, and that's what I'm doing on the show. And similarly, there are people like Xavier, who is interviewing celebrities. You know, he's a celebrity sort of podcast host, and he's helping us with our influencer management on the show. So it sort of documents the life of people like us that are doing it in the real world and what it's like to kind of hustle, I guess, in Tinseltown.
Great. And how did you meet Serena DC? And how you
So
became friends,
yeah,
two business partners?
she was a fan when I was on Project Runway. So I got off that show and did a lot of, you know, obviously did all brand ambassadorships. And one of the brand deals that I did was with her company. She used to have a style, like a beauty salons.
Okay. Yeah.
I was like the face of her beauty salons, which I don't even remember. So we connected like reconnected it like a couple of years back, and she was like, yeah, your face was all over my salons. I'm like, okay,
Oh,
I don't,
wow.
yeah.
I watched the first the two first episode. I can't remember like if it was on the first or the second one, but you said that the Love Academy is about spreading love. We want to empower people to start loving themselves and also to spread more love into their relationships, finding love, self-love, and sustaining love. I want to go back to 2016 when you also said there is no Prince Charming, and you got down on one knee and proposed to yourself. You added, "Oh my God, I'm engaged. I finally found the one who completes me, the one who I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. That one is me." There's even a term for that, sologamy. I didn't even I had
Yeah.
no clue. I had no clue of that word. What was going through your mind at that time? And do you still feel the same way now?
Great question. I love that you've done your research.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, yes, I proposed to myself. And yes, do I still feel the same way now? Yes, I'm wearing my engagement ring right now.
That was my next question.
Whenever I feel like I need to feel more empowered or more like a total boss or more like I'm just really loving myself, I put my ring on, and it is like a super sort of like a symbol. Whenever I look at it, I'm like, yes, I love you. So the reason I got to that part was about 18 months before that moment in time, I was looking in the mirror and looking at myself and realized that I hated every single thing about me. So I couldn't find anything about me that I didn't hate. Not that I just didn't really like that part about me, but it was just that I absolutely hated every single thing about me. And I was like, you know what, Amber, you're not going to get anywhere. You're out here working, trying to hustle, trying to build businesses and working yourself to the bone. You're not going to achieve anything that you want in this lifetime if you actually hate yourself. You're never going to achieve the success you want. Your relationships are going to suck. You're going to be, it doesn't matter what happens on the outside, you're still going to be miserable inside. So you need to work on yourself and work on your self-love. And so I went on this huge journey of developing self-love and did everything. So, I know everyone wants a quick fix to self-love, but for me, it's about a 12 to 18 month journey of daily practices, taking small inspired action steps every single day to work on the areas of myself that I still didn't feel I loved or didn't feel were worthy or didn't feel like I valued. And it was everything from the inside out, from the top to the bottom. And I did every kind of practice. So
Like
I
what?
went,
An example.
yep. I went and sought out therapy. So I was in weekly therapy sessions. I developed my own kind of, so that was traditional therapy. I also went to all sorts of, I guess, what do you call it? Like natural therapists. So, like hypnotherapy,
Okay,
neuroemotional,
yeah.
Emotional freedom technique, any kind of spiritual healer, any kind of, anyone like that. So was constantly very voracious with seeking out someone that could help me either release the toxicity, release the pain, or connect further into myself and develop my own self-love. So probably the most powerful technique that I sort of developed, but then went on to develop my own technique, was called neuroemotional technique. So this is a technique that's kind of based on, muscle testing, where you test your muscles.
Yes.
So it's sort of like asking the body where the initial emotion came from, and then going into that emotion and releasing it from the body. What I believe now about all sorts of pain, like physical pain that we experience, I believe physical pain is a trapped emotion from an experience that we weren't able to process at a point in time. And as a result, that's now manifested into, in my instance, it was cancer, or it might be, what any kind of illness. And I know that this is a wild thing to talk about, but this is, my current belief system around that. So I've since gone on to develop my own sort of neuroemotional technique where I try and find pain bodies in my body and release them so that I can no longer experience that pain, and so that I'm no longer creating the circumstances to relive that particular type of painful event. So I did a lot of sort of you'd call that clearing work. So releasing pain, releasing past trauma, dealing with past trauma. And then I developed a whole lot of really basic practices. So every day I got up and I forced myself to do a very basic 5-minute practice that would just help me to love myself just 1% more than I did the previous day. And I worked on everything. So things like fear of being seen, fear of being heard, imposter syndrome, perfectionism, right through to, daily gratitude practice, daily mirror work.
I definitely need to do that.
Yeah, I mean, mirror work was so profound for me. It was really, I remember the first time I tried to do mirror work, and for people who don't know what that means, it means looking in the mirror and saying positive affirmations to yourself. And I remember the first time that I heard about it, I was like, okay, well, I can do the mirror work. And I got in front of the mirror and I tried to say, I love you. And I literally couldn't say I love you to myself. And
it
that
sounds
was
so easy, but it's not easy.
That was a really heartbreaking moment, like looking yourself in the eye and going, no, I can't say that to you. It's like, oh, how do you expect anyone else to love you if you can't even
love
do it yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. So so that was my journey of self-love. And I eventually got to the place where I looked in the mirror and I was crying tears of love for myself. Like I loved myself so profoundly that I would just burst into a heartfelt loving feeling every time I did mirror work or looked in the mirror. And I was just like, you know what, Amber, you need to celebrate this. You've come a long way. Like this is a big deal. So, in celebration of that journey and in recognition of that journey, and also just to, normally I would go and get a tattoo if I'd done like a huge journey, spiritual journey like that. But I was like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's a tattoo. I think you need to, let's make a commitment to really being on that path for the rest of your life and really committing to yourself and to self-love at that level for the rest of your life. And I was like, okay, cool. Well, I feel like I should propose to myself and get myself a ring. So I went and did that, and I got a ring, and I started wearing the ring, and people were like, what is the ring all about, crazy? And then I would explain what the ring was about, and people really didn't get it. Like a lot of my friends, they were really like, no, that's just, you're crazy. And so I eventually put out a video around it. So on my YouTube channel, I was like, listen, everyone, this is how I feel. This is what I think it's all about. I feel like we all get told these stories in the media around, wait for the one, someone's going to come along and completely complete you. Once someone comes in, then you're going to be happy. Once you get that relationship, then you'll be able to love yourself. And that's not how it is. Self-love is developed over time by taking small inspired action steps every single day to work on yourself or to flex your self-love muscle. And so that's why I proposed to myself.
Amazing. That's what we were thought like younger, oh, there's a Prince Charming and someone needs to complete you. But like you said, it's not true. If you can't, if you don't complete yourself, how somebody else, a stranger, gonna come and complete you?
It's such a toxic program, and we've all been told that from since we were toddlers. Like think about every single what are they called? Like, childhood story is, the woman trapped up in the tower who lets her hair down and the man comes in and rescues her. That's every single story that we were raised with as kids. Fortunately, this generation have slightly different stories, but every book, every movie that we ever watched, every story was based around that narrative. It's very toxic.
Very toxic. You did mention that you had cancer. Are you cancer free?
Yeah, so it was.
Thank God.
Thank God. It was a very mild. I didn't have to get chemotherapy or anything like that. I was a child. I was sort of 25 years old, which doesn't make it any less scary. And just having the burden of, okay, every 3 months I need to go back and get another checkup. So just that burden is, scary for anybody really. But thankfully it was a very low grade.
Thankfully, you're okay right now. Let's say I go to the Love Academy or I go online on the website because I want to find love. Where do I begin? Like, walk me through the process.
Well, I really think everyone should begin with self-love. So one of the first modules that we're teaching in the academy is some of the content that I've taught previously, because I have a self-love program. I have a program that I developed off the back of that spiritual journey that I was just telling you about. So that program teaches you these 5-minute rituals that I've developed that you can just empower into your everyday that will help you on your self-love journey. So some of that has now been put into the Love Academy, and you can also find that on my own website, amber.courses, if you wanted to just do the full course there.
Great. On the show, Eden Sassoon, okay, she's a Hollywood socialite, ex-Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She's part of the cast of Dream Life Los Angeles, which I was really surprised to see her because she's such a zen and laid back person, and the other cast members are like wild, eccentric, loud. Right. How does she fit into the group? Like, how it is to work with her?
So Eden and I were like love at first sight. She's the same sort of vibe as me. Yeah, as you say, like super spiritual, very zen, really has this grander understanding of the universe. So we sort of met. I met her the first time at her house, and within like 5 minutes, we're like holding hands and touching each other and being like, "Oh my God, I love you." So I adore Eden. And she came into the show. She was originally going to be interviewed by Serena as one of the experts for the Love Academy. And I think they just bonded as well. I think they were just like, this is an instant bond. Let's bring you in closer. What can you do to help us with the Love Academy? And obviously she is Miss Hollywood, she's so well connected. She knows everyone in LA. She's, from there. So she sort of came in to help us with the show, with, getting connected in Hollywood, because obviously she knows everyone. Mm-hmm. And then she just provided a great dynamic on the show. It was great to see what she was able to bring to the dynamic.
As the co-founder of the Love Academy, I was asking myself why you didn't participate in the scene where Serena DC was in a business meeting with John Jacobs, the CEO of Never Die.
Mm-hmm. So Serena is the wheeler and dealer, in case you haven't noticed. So she's the one that goes and does all the sales and the, talks the talk. I'm a huge introvert, so I'm not a salesperson. I'm the one that builds it. So I'm the one that, does the strategy, comes up with the funnels, builds the platform, builds the courses. So I let Serena go and do her thing. I'm like not really into sales. Okay. I'm into marketing it and doing online advertising, digital marketing, digital advertising, that kind of thing, where I get to sit behind a computer screen. I don't have to talk to anyone. I'm like spreaded. So that's more my scene.
And what was up with Chris wanting 25% after the deal was made? I was like, once you sign a contract and it's 10%, it stays 10%. Like, it's not every deal that you're going to change your percentage.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, that kind of thing is so cheeky to me. I don't understand. I was like, maybe this is Hollywood. Maybe this is how it rolls over here, but that kind of thing wouldn't fly in Australia. So I don't know. And again, that's the kind of thing that I'm like, you guys sort that out. I don't want to be involved in this because that seems shady to me.
Yeah, I was watching it and I was like, what?
Yeah.
And I found it very interesting when Serena went up to John and told him that the deal was off because of that.
Yeah.
I had never seen anyone ever on like any TV, like reality TV show done that. Like, it speaks volume that it's not always about money and it's integrity.
Totally. And that's what we're trying to show, not only with the show, but also with Love Academy. We're trying to show that it is about authenticity, it is about integrity, it is about, making sure that you're acting out of your highest value and not just either chasing money or chasing fame or chasing dollars. Like, it's really about being the best version of you. And that's really what we're trying to show, hopefully, through the show. So I like that you've had a takeaway around that.
Yeah, I was like, I have to ask you a question about that. So Caitlyn Jenner, Corey Feldman, and Tara Reid also makes appearances on Dream Life. How was filming with Caitlyn Jenner?
So it was so bizarre. So I went to Burning Man right before we were filming this, and so when I came so Burning Man is a 10-day festival. You don't have your phone or you don't have internet connection. It's in the Nevada desert. So I went to that. I had no internet connection. And when I came out of that, I had a message saying, hey, your call time is tomorrow morning at Caitlyn Jenner's house. And I was like, okay. So yeah, it was a really bizarre experience to go to Caitlyn's house, meet her. She's obviously incredibly beautiful, incredibly humble, and the interview was incredible. So she was very generous with what she spoke about. She clearly had a message that she wanted to share that was around, what she'd been through, and she gave a really inspiring conversation. So the whole room was left in tears by the end of it. And then she was just a really generous person. There was a whole crew of us. There was sort of 20 or 30 people in her living room. I don't know how I would feel if there was that many people sitting in my living, that many strangers sitting around in my living room, but she was very generous with everyone and happy to take photos and happy to connect, which I just thought was a really beautiful experience.
I would freak out.
It was bizarre. Yeah. Like, I'm just, sort of sitting in a kitchen and then next minute, Caitlyn Jenner's standing next to me. You're like, okay.
So far, what has your experience been in LA so far with all the Hollywood egos?
Yeah. So back when I was on Project Runway, I kind of did that whole life. Like, I did the Australian celebrity life. So I was sort of doing that whole, egoic life, doing the parties, doing the opening of an envelope, that whole thing. So getting over to LA, I was like, you know what, I'm not really about that life anymore. You know, like I'm all about creating a sustainable business. I'm about, growing my personal business as well, my personal brand as well. And I'm sort of not as interested as Serena is with that whole Hollywood life. And you're about to see that play out more in the show. So Serena
Okay.
is desperate for that Hollywood life, and you're going to see all that play out. So yeah, my whole stance is that I've been there, I've done that, and it doesn't make you feel good about yourself, which I know everyone thinks that it's going to. But, you know, living that life when you're surrounded by so much ego and you're placing your value on whether you got invited to a party or not, or whether your dress was the best dress at the party, or whether that person at that event talked to you or not. It's such a it's like playing on a house of cards, because you're just so like anxious around, you know, all of these external events dictate your self-worth for the day,
A
which
lot
is
of people live for that.
yeah, and it's a really tricky territory. It's really damaging. So, you know, if you're placing your self-worth on who talked to you or which event you got invited to, you know, that's a slippery slope to be on.
What do you think of all the, likes on Instagram? If I don't get, X amount of likes, or especially kids, like teenagers, they think that the number of likes, or how I would say it, like the way that someone shows them that they love them. I don't know how to, like, what do you think of that likes are more important than anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an extremely damaging construct that we've currently living in terms of society. When Instagram took the likes away, I was grateful. I was like, that's fantastic. I don't think anyone should be caring about the number of likes that they're getting. I mean, I'm grateful that I grew up before social media, because I would have bought into that big time. You know, like I've been counting those likes every single day. So I'm grateful that I was sort of able to develop my somewhat sense of self-worth before all of that happened. But I really worry for the generation that that's all they know. All they know is, did I get more likes than the girl sitting next to me in school? You know,
Exactly.
did my
And
selfie get more comments than hers? Like that's a recipe for disaster.
that's gonna be damaging, like, throughout the years for them, on their
I think
self-esteem. And
Yeah, I think it would be hard to come back from that, because to have so many blows to your self-esteem that early on, and to have it really documented, you know, like my blows to my self-esteem were like, I think that girl hates me. Like, but theirs is like, oh, that, you know, that people really hate me because I only got this many likes and that girl got that many likes. So it's much more black and white, I think,
yeah.
in that generation. Whereas mine was like, oh, I don't think anyone likes me, or, you know, it was sort of, I could almost talk myself into it or out of it. Whereas that generation, it's black and white. You can read how many likes you got.
Yeah, back in the days, either someone liked me or not, I was like, who cares,
Totally.
But
And then also just the standard of beauty is just so insane. Like
oh my God, yes.
when I was growing up, the hot girls, or like the hot people that, you know, the girls that I wanted to dance like was like salt and pepper.
Hmm.
Like they were my aspiration. You know, I wanted to dance like them. I wanted to wear their clothes. But imagine, and you know, like looking at them, they were beautiful, but they weren't like Kylie Jenner beautiful, you know? So they, you know, it was like, well, yeah, I could kind of look like salt and pepper if I wear this top and these jeans. Yeah, I can kind of be like them. But there is no one ever that can look like Kylie Jenner unless you have millions of dollars of plastic surgery. So even just that, like you're never going to stack up, and you're never going to think that you're okay, because the aspiration is just so much bigger
So
these
much
days.
high, yeah. It's unless you have the money of Kylie Jenner and her surgeons, like don't even think about it. What's the biggest challenge about taking on a reality show? Like, what's the biggest challenge of being on a reality show?
So I guess it's just the question of whether you're going to be authentic, display your own authenticity, or whether you're going to get caught up in the kind of an energy and commotion of having four cameras follow you around, because that is a really egoic situation. You know, like you certainly feel very important when you're walking down the street with four cameras following you around. So it's like, do you buy into that and start telling yourself that you're more important, or do you just still act like the person that you are, which is you're a good person, you treat everyone equally, you know, that kind of thing. So I think it's making sure that you're being true to yourself when you're on camera and not playing up for the sake of, for the sake of TV.
Let's say right now, like I'm in front of my mirror, okay, and I'm looking at myself. Tell me 5 things I should tell myself to make myself feel better, to start like, I don't know, loving myself more, to have more self-esteem.
So what we want to do is start small and easy. So for me, for instance, I've always had major skin issues. I've had really bad acne as a kid. I've always had the worst skin ever. So as a result, I've had lots of skin treatments, and now my skin is great, which is great. But so that's something that's always been a negative in my mind. On the flip side to that, something that's always been a positive, I was born with some of the best killer green eyes on the planet. Like you can really, it's pretty hard to beat my eyes. And I've been told that my whole life. So what I wouldn't do is stand in front of the mirror and try and feel good about my skin, because that's too far of a stretch. Instead, I would look in the mirror and be like, well, I do really love your eyes. You do have really beautiful eyes. And so affirming the positive around some part of your appearance would be step one. Affirming a positive around something that you did today. So often we lie in bed at night and we obsess over the things, all of the things that we did wrong. Oh my God, I said that wrong. I sent that email wrong.
Yes.
I took person wrong. I shouldn't have said this. I shouldn't have done that. And that's what we lie in bed and obsess about. Instead, just for that moment of mirror work, give yourself gratitude around something that you did really well that day. And it doesn't have to be big. It could just be, you know what? I made the bed really well today, or I cooked myself a beautiful lunch today, or anything that's small that you did that's uniquely you. So no one else could do it as good as you. And I'm sure there's something that you did today that no one else can do. So give yourself some gratitude around something that you did today, and then give yourself some gratitude around a quality that you have that is, again, unique to you. So think about something that, well, I'm really great at whatever it is. I'm really great at communicating could be something. So, giving yourself gratitude around something that you are uniquely great about. And I would do that with all areas of your life, and especially the areas that you're feeling low in. So if you're feeling low in like a relationship, if you're feeling low in relationships in your life, try and look for something positive that you've done in relationships that day, and give yourself gratitude and express thanks to yourself around that particular area. And you just do this every day, taking little baby steps. So small inspired action steps every single day.
I know that's something that I personally have to work on. And sometimes I do 1 week and it's good. I'm like, okay, I give thanks for this. I'm grateful for this. And then the second week I go back to being like, depressed, and I can't find anything. So I'm going to try to apply that, what you just said.
I mean, all of these things, it's just like going to the gym. So we all know that we would never expect to wake up having never been to the gym, go to the gym once and come home with abs. We all know that that's not how it works, right?
We wish.
Yeah, well, that would be great.
Yeah.
But we all accept that, okay, if I want to get abs, then I'm going to need to wake up and I'm going to do, need to go to the gym every day. And it's not going to be fun for the first week or, however long. And I'm eventually going to get abs. And then if I stop going to the gym, those abs are going to go away. And so I'm going to need to go back and train again. It's going to suck the first few times again, because it's going to be really hard again. But then eventually I'll get abs again. So that's the exact process of developing self-love, the exact process. So yes, sometimes you're going to get to a place where you're like, yeah, I'm feeling good about myself. And then something's going to happen in your life where you're going to get knocked off that path. You're going to spend a week or 2 weeks or a month or however long it is. And then you're going to wake up one day and realize, oh, I'm back where I was. I don't love myself so much anymore. Let me get back on it. And then you get back into the practices, get back into the mirror work, and you start from scratch. And it's a practice. I fall out of self-love all the time. Granted, I'm better at it, so I notice when I've slipped. But, same as going to the gym. Sometimes I love going to the gym. Sometimes I don't go for a couple of weeks and, I'm back where I was.
Exactly. Like I said, that's something that I have to practice a lot. a lot about myself. What would you like the viewers to take away from when they watch Dream Life Los Angeles?
I hope that everyone understands that living authentically and living in integrity is really the only way that we can be. So when you watch that, watch how we're engaging, because this is what we're trying to inspire people to become with the new reality TV. You know, we're not bitchy, we're not undercutting people, we're not backstabbing, we're really empowering all of the people in our on the show, and that's what we're trying to inspire in this new world.
And
so
that's refreshing.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping it to be, for sure.
And are you working on anything new projects that you want to talk about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got Dream Life, the book, launching soon. Maybe when this comes out, it'll already be live. So the book is the Boss Babe's Guide to Living, to turning your online business dream into a reality. So the book, it follows my 5-step formula, which is teaches you how to build an online business like mine. So how to create a e-course or an ebook, or to turn your knowledge into a online business. So the first chapters, if you will, talk about mindset. So a lot of the stuff that we talked about today. The next chapter is all about personal branding, developing your superpowers, understanding your genius zone, and really figuring out your brand story. The next module is all about creating your legacy content. So this is your estate. So you know how when you're trying to build wealth offline, so if you're, you know, in a day job and you want to build wealth, you buy an estate. Well, in my world, when you're online, you build your own estate. So in the third chapter, E for estate, we build our own estate content. In A, we automate. So I'm really big on funnels. I love living that automated life. I love everything just, you know, waking up and having more money in my bank account. So that's what I teach you in automate. And in M, I teach you how to magnetize. So this is how to get traffic. So how to get in front of new customers, how to get publicity, how to, do content marketing in a way that generates traffic. So that's my DREAM method, dream method for living your best online business life.
And when the book gonna be available?
Oh, look,
so I can buy it.
Yes, totally. Hopefully in the next 2 weeks. We're on final stages right now. So I'm hoping, actually, no, I think I'm going to launch it. It'll be in September. Can we just say that?
Okay, because I think the Love Academy, it's September 6th, the launch, right?
Right.
Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How would you describe Amber Renae in one word?
Fabulous.
Oh, yes. That's amazing. Well, Amber, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us today on the Hype Club podcast. It's been a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you so much. I hope your audience gets a lot out of this. Come and say hi on the gram. If you've valued this conversation, come and let me know that you found me on the Hype Club podcast.
Yes. Please remind us where we can find you on all social media and online.
Yes. You search Amber Renae, you'll find me. I'm pretty active on Instagram and on YouTube. I've got heaps of YouTube tutorials which teach you more in depth about what we talked about today. And then amber.courses, so www.amber.courses. If you go there, you can sign up to 4 or 5 free hour-long masterclasses, which again will give you much more information about what we talked about today. So you can just go there and learn for free.
Okay. Dream Life Los Angeles airs Sundays at 10 a.m. on Hulu Live and FYI Network. Thank you again, and tune in next week for the latest world and entertainment news. Until then, let's lead by example, be amazing, work harder, and show them how it's done. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Amber. Bye.